All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for your patience during our technical difficulties. And I am super excited to interview Dr. Jennifer Keys. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in here. And Jenny, thank you so much for being here with us today. You guys, just a little background on Dr. Jenny. I met her, gosh, what was it, 6 years ago at a chiropractic seminar. And I'm going to let her tell her story because it's awesome. I love her story. And I just want you, Jenny, to talk a little bit about how you got into essential oils. Let's just start there. And then we'll kind of talk about like your transition into sharing with patients and what that looked like.
Okay. Well, I'll try to paraphrase it because it is a very long story. So long story short, I did meet Melody at a chiropractic event. At that time, knew her as kind of you were like training staff. So she was like the staff guru for chiropractic clinics at that time and had been in doTERRA for about a year herself. And I was in a place where I was starting my first job, my first associateship. So that's when you work for other chiropractors, if you're not sure what that is. And so I wasn't opening up my own business. I was kind of nervous about it. Was moving all the way from Iowa to Las Vegas. It was big transition time in my life. I was a little stressed out, had a little mental breakdown in front of a very large crowd at that event. And Melody sitting in the crowd and thought, that's the kind of chick who I think I'd like to approach with essential oils. She might be a little mentally unstable, but let's approach her. And she was just thinking about me and my personal needs. She's like, that chick's stressed. She's clearly having some emotional stuff happening. Let me kind of reach out to her. Came up to me after the event, chatted with me, gave me some oil samples. And I bought a book from her at that event, and we went about our merry ways, right? Because this was in Boise. I was living in Iowa, moving to Las Vegas. And they smelled good, and I thought they were great, but the samples didn't really work for what I had going on, okay? So they were small, tiny samples. I had a lot going on. They smelled good, and I loved them, and I knew they were really high vibrating, but it got put on the shelf of I'll get to it. I'll learn about it later. I'm really busy right now, one of those things. And it sat on the shelf for over a year with following up almost every month from Melody for that full year. And I was always meaning to get into oils, but it just, was still on that back shelf. I had moved to Las Vegas, started a very demanding job that I turned out absolutely actually hating. Not because I hate chiropractic, because I didn't love the environment that I was in. I didn't love the way we were practicing. I didn't love the office. Wasn't my jam. And so it caused me to be very sick. I do think that that's one of the reasons why I did get sick, along with just lifestyle things that I didn't know were unhealthy that I've been doing for years. And I got so sick that I tried everything natural that chiropractic had taught me and other things, and didn't do the trick. Went medical, that didn't work. And then I thought, ding, 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 who's been following up with me for 13 months and won't leave me alone in a very nice way. And I thought, I wonder if essential oils can help with anything that I have going on. So it really was a personal route how I found oils. I called up Melody. I still remember the day. It was January. Well, actually, I think it was December 31st. And you're like, I'm on a date with Walty. She's on a date with her husband now, and was like, can I get a hold of you in the new year? And I was like, yes, please get a hold of me. I'm so miserable. I don't know. I didn't know where else to go. I didn't know where else to turn to. I was having feelings of inadequacy, right? Because I'm a natural kind of healer and I can't heal myself. So there was a whole nother layer to that than just being a healthy individual, who's not teaching and leading other people to be healthy. So she called me January 2nd and we chatted, and turned out that, I had a raging candida infection. So we kind of dealt with that with different lifestyle things and essential oils. And pretty much was like, don't talk to me about the business from day one. I'm only getting this account because it's cheaper, blah, 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 blah. I was very resistant to doing this business, very resistant for months. And totally healed my body with essential oils and lifestyle changes. 2 weeks later, I'm buying thousands of dollars of oils. Melanie's like, just wait till next month. And then in 2 weeks, the span of me saying I can't afford this $150 kit, I'm only getting this. If it doesn't work, I'm going to try to get my money back, to then spending thousands of dollars of oils. So that's a very powerful experience that I had. Still not wanting to share with others. And after, a couple more weeks, so we're about a month in of me using oils and I'm feeling phenomenal, I was finding myself sharing and not even knowing about it. I kept on getting a hold of Melody and saying, hey, what's your website? I have some patients that want to buy this stuff, because I was constantly talking about it to everybody. And it was a couple months of that, and Melody's like, send them to your own website. Like, we need to talk. Like, this is getting ridiculous. And I'm like, fine, let's talk. I can't promise anything. And she really talked me into the business. So did Jen Oldham when she came to Las Vegas. Jen Oldham came different time, but talked to me about the business. And then Melody came just to teach a class, right? I'm just going to come teach a class. You don't have to do the business. Stayed at my house. And then we had a serious conversation about, now my health was back on track, but I was still just as miserable practicing as I ever was before, and was making no money, because that's what happens when you're associate. You get ran into the ground working 60 hours plus a week, and you're not building anything for yourself, and you're not making any money at the same time. So that always happens, but that is 90% of the way associateships go. There's a couple diamonds in the rough in there that I know some of my friends have, but
yeah. Me too. I know a few phenomenal, like my chiropractor has 4 associates in there. They love what they do, and Dr. Teresa. So yeah, that's definitely not the rule, but can I put a couple caveats in there?
Yeah.
One, when I was following up with her, she wasn't telling me, leave me alone. She was like, follow up with me. I'm just not ready. And so she was giving me the green light.
I did.
You guys think I was bugging her. And the other caveat is when she said she didn't want to do the business, I was totally fine with that. I was like, yep, we'll just get you well. And so I don't want you guys to think this literally was all her decision.
Totally. And that was one thing that I liked, is that I never felt like I was being bothered when you were following up with me, ever. It was, because you know why? Because it was always about me. It wasn't about doing the business. It wasn't like, can I get oils into your practice? Well, I didn't even have a practice, but can I get oils into your daily, whatever your patients? And so it was all about me. So then all that following up, when I was at a point where I didn't know where to go, boom, she popped into my head, just from that, that constant following up. And it was pretty awesome. And she didn't hound me on doing the business, but she definitely opened my eyes. Hey, like, let's just look at this. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but like, I'm here and you're miserable. You're not making any money. Like, this could be a solution for you. You love oils. Because we were having a conversation and you're at my house and I had to go to work.
Yeah.
And you're like, your energy just completely changed.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, I hate going into the office. And you're like, let's talk. So it was a good thing. Since now I'm practicing, I have my own office. So I'm still.
Yeah. And then what I love about this, and I'm sure you'll tell this story, is after you started making money with doTERRA, you actually got an associate position in the Virgin Islands that paid you really well, that you loved. So, but we'll kind of get to that story in a minute, but let's talk about what kind of happened after your business blossomed.
So, moved to Boise, which was a good move for us. And just started building my team, started traveling more like I always wanted to. I was working more part-time in offices at that point. And have just met a lot of great people, traveled all over the world. And it really was doTERRA as well that helped us move. I had always had a dream to live in the islands, and it's a hard move. It's not just moving a state. It's not just moving a state over. It's a hard, long move. It's incredibly expensive. There's a lot of unknown costs, no matter how much you plan. And even though we had jobs the second we landed here, I was super grateful for our doTERRA income as well, because we didn't realize how expensive it was to live down here. And we would have been really scraping by even with our 2 incomes that were the highest I'd ever been paid as an associate, to be honest. So
yeah, that's awesome. So what I love about this whole story is what doTERRA actually did for you was more than just having this income. It was more than just like having an extra stream of income. It actually opened up this path for you that put you on this path to, oh, I have more freedom to choose what I want to do. And I've always wanted to live in the islands. I'm going to go live in the Virgin Islands. I mean, how many people can do that, right? When they're just out of school, and that, not necessarily that you were just out of school, but it was your first chiropractic job. And then after your second chiropractic job, you were, moving where you wanted to move. And then the other thing that I love about this is when you became an associate at this doctor's office in Virgin Islands, you mentored under an incredible chiropractor and learned, like, this put you on a path where you were able to learn from an incredible chiropractor and learn to network, which is a chiropractic technique that you love. So kind of talk about like all these open doors that happened because of this, doTERRA decision.
It did. And what was interesting is, if you want to be quite honest, and I don't know if I've ever told Dr. Tammy this, maybe she'll watch it. Dr. Tammy's who I worked for. The chiropractic job was, I had a feeling that I wasn't supposed to quit yet, but I was close on the verge to not practicing. And my doTERRA income was good, but it wasn't quite enough yet, right? And so we still needed that kind of little security nest egg. And so when I called every chiropractor in the Caribbean, I randomly found Dr. Tammy. That's another crazy story. It was totally meant to be. And she was like, yeah, I'm actually looking for an associate. This is really weird. And so I didn't really tell her that I was like not super interested in practicing anymore. I just was like, I want to get down there and like have something right away. And she did this interesting technique that I found on her website because I did some research on her. And I was like, that looks really interesting. If anybody knows chiropractic, I practice network spinal, which is a tonal technique. It's incredibly different than other techniques, similar to tonal techniques. Most chiropractors don't love it, but I love it. And it's definitely the path that I was supposed to be on. I still to this day really dislike manual adjusting, not getting it done. I'm not good at it. These aren't good at manual adjusting. I don't like it. I was never good at it. I graduated school knowing that it wasn't a good fit and just like kind of like, well, shit, now I'm in a bunch of student loan debt. I got to go and do something. And it was like when I found network, that was definitely, I was like, wow, this is what I've been waiting for in chiropractic. It was my aha moment, and it happened years after I graduated, and I almost gave up on chiropractic several times. Once again, for me personally, not as a profession, it works really well. But just was like, maybe it's not my path. There's lots of really awesome healing techniques and professions out there. Maybe this wasn't for me. Expensive mistake, but turned out not to be, which was awesome. And that led me down the path of now I have I like it so much. I have my own small office. So I've left Dr. Tammy. That kind of dissolved after the hurricanes happened on very good terms. And now I have my own small part-time office and then do doTERRA full-time.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what happened with the hurricanes and what happened to the office and kind of how doTERRA became, something that really helped you during that time.
It did. We moved down here in that fall of 2015 to 2016. So we had a good year down here, and then it was 2 years essentially. And then that 2017 fall, if anybody remembers, we had the worst hurricane. The Caribbean had the worst hurricane on record for worst hurricane season. So we had 2 Cat 5s. Actually, no one really knows this because the news sucks and doesn't talk about what actually happens. But St. Thomas specifically and St. John were the only 2 islands that got hit really pretty bad by both. So Irma went through beginning of September, like strongest hurricane ever, just as strong as the hurricane that just hit the Bahamas. That's the soonest one that people remember, and pretty much annihilated everything.
And airport, the hospital, like
everything got annihilated. We didn't have, nothing was happening. People didn't have roofs on their houses. Okay, 8 days later, Hurricane Maria rolls through and hit us again. Thank God it hit a little bit worse St. Croix and Puerto Rico that are more kind of south and west of us, but it still hit us pretty darn hard. And so that goes down in history, man. 2 Cat 5s back to back like that in a week. when people don't have a roof over their head for the second one. And it was a lot. I was stuck stateside, which was, you know, a blessing actually, because we didn't have electricity for 6 months. So no internet, no, nothing, you know? So I was the breadwinner for us, living stateside, still doing my business. I moved in with my parents in Minnesota, back to good old high school room, and just did what I could to keep my business moving forward. I had, you know, a whole leg pretty much die because it was all down here in the islands, and rightfully so. There were a lot of people who just started, and they kind of were, they were fight or flight. They weren't in my position where they were like, it's now or never, let's really crank my business. They were like, you know, I need to go figure out life. So I had a whole leg that died, and rebuilt it, and it was great. I mean, we used my doTERRA income to start Brad, my husband's office. We've got 2 separate offices. Don't think that's weird, but it just doesn't work in one. I don't wear shoes when I practice, so. And he's very like, blah, 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 blah. He loves making relationships.
Well, and he's a great manual adjuster. Like, he's got great hands for manual adjusting. That's what he does.
He does manual adjusting, and I'm too hippie. So we have separate offices, okay? So, but that income helped us start his office. You know, I came back in February, so I was stateside from September all the way to February. We were, you know, I'm sending money down to him, and I'm doing my business, and thankfully not spending that much money because I was living with my parents. And then it came, we got electricity, so I was able to come back because I said I can't come back until I can have electricity so I can do my business and internet, you know. And so I came back in late February, and we started his office in April. And we were working on it the whole time. He had some construction job down here that he was making like $300 a week or something, but it was better than nothing. That was the only thing that was around, was construction. Dr. Tammy's office that we worked in, that was kind of, you know, they were still in California. Their office was essentially closed.
Their office get destroyed, or was it just like,
they didn't get destroyed, but they were living stateside. She was pregnant. She had a baby stateside during the time. So the office didn't get destroyed, but it was for all purposes closed. And then when they came back, they really weren't sure if they were going to open again or what they were going to do. They were like, nice. They were like, listen, non-compete, null and void. You guys do your thing. Like, this is a catastrophe. Like, we don't know what the hell we're doing, so you can't work for us anyway. So it worked out to be a good thing. And we, you know, I'll tell you the truth, we just did the good old American dream. We paid our rent, and we stopped paying all of our other bills, and we put all of my doTERRA check into living and building his office, because we couldn't get a loan. We got a small, very little baby bits of loans, couple private loans from friends and family, and that was it. And it was very small. I mean, we've already paid them all off, but we just had to make it work. It's very hard to get business loans down here. It's like incredibly hard.
Yeah. So being able to, so from the hurricane, it was about September. You had Brad's office opened in April.
Yeah, it was gone in April, which, I mean, technically didn't have our business license until like August.
That's how
it works down here. You gotta start, because it takes like 6 months to get your damn business license. Everything's island time. So it was in the works, but we opened before we had our business license even.
Okay, so during that time period, you guys were able to rely solely on doTERRA online income from customers that you had, you know?
Yeah, and it was 100% online, because ain't nobody buying oils here. I mean, people were like trying to figure out how to, you know, feed themselves. Yeah. So it wasn't there wasn't the luxury, even though I think essential oils are just as important as food. There's a lot of people who don't think that.
You know, they are essential, and that's why all the hoarding happened last month with On Guard. We had to limit to one per account. But yeah, now let's fast forward 2020. We've got this COVID pandemic. And a lot of, you're seeing a lot of practices having to just cut down because they're just seeing emergency patients, even though they're saying your immune system's going to be better, we're taking precautions, come still see us. They're still seeing a drop in numbers right now. And so are you guys seeing that, A, in your office, and B, has doTERRA income been something that you've been able to rely on? And I'm pretty sure, like, your sales went up last month too, right? Because people are buying more pills. So tell me a little bit about how this pandemic has affected your chiropractic business. And do you see that happening with some of your colleagues, and how doTERRA has also been a blessing in kind of these times of uncertainty?
Yeah. I mean, even no judgment if you're a chiropractor who's closed right now. We are an office that is chosen to be open with very strict, I mean, we're going crazy. Everybody's taking their temperature like every hour in our office. I mean, we've got strict guidelines right now. We're going above and beyond the CDC really. But we are going to be open for as long as people are coming in. And, but we've seen about, I would say 50%, reduction in people coming in, which it is what it is. We're not going to hound people to come in because this is like something that's never happened before. And we don't want people to come in, of course, if they're uncomfortable or if they're sick. We are encouraging people to come in if they're comfortable and telling them what we're doing. But yeah, it's been down about 50%. And, we're looking at another hurricane scenario. That's what Brad and I keep saying. Uh-oh, this might be bad. So, and my office as well has seen a reduction. I don't see as many people as Brad does, but I've seen about a 50% reduction in who I see as well. And thank God for doTERRA. And I can't help but think, there are a couple industries who are killing it right now, like food, grocery stores, whoever's TP, yeah, paper products, probably bidet toilets, I would assume as well, in case you're out of toilet paper. And then health and wellness, Marcola is completely sold out. Dr. Axe is selling out of stuff. doTERRA is awesome. So they're barely selling out of stuff, but they're selling a lot.
They increased, yeah, their sales went up 400%, but they are so prepared for like their storage more so than any of these companies probably that yeah.
Exactly, totally, because they're all out within 2 seconds. All my naturopathic companies that I'm buying from, stuff's back ordered like crazy. Biotics Research, like all this other stuff that I get my vitamin A from and whatnot is they're just out. It's slowly trickling in the mail when they get it back in. And so doTERRA is in one of those, we're blessed, we're popular right now. And we're also not running out of stuff because it's a great company. And they didn't plan for this, because who could have planned for this? But they knew they could see the pattern of the world, and that big stuff was going to start to happen no matter what it was, and they needed to be prepared. Just like they are with sending their hygiene kits. They've seen, wow, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening with the weather, a lot of earthquakes, a lot of hurricanes. And so they're planning all their hygiene kits, which if you're not familiar, doTERRA donates a ton of hygiene kits to a lot of those major weather disasters that happen around the world all the time.
Yeah, floods and hurricanes and everything like that. They donate, hundreds of thousands of hygiene kits. One last thing, because we're just kind of wrapping up here. And I was going to say, having this essential oil business, this is something Corey Lindley said, is that Corey Lindley, just so you guys know, is the CEO of doTERRA, and he's also the financial guy. But he said, do you see people in the next 60, 90 days, 6 months, 12 months caring less about their health or more about their health, right? Like all of a sudden things are like, wow, I can't have a compromised immune system. I have to get my health in order, because if I have online pre-existing conditions, this is not something like I've got one foot in the ground. And so people are much more concerned about their health. And so that's where the focus is going. And, doTERRA obviously is an incredible company to partner with. As you can see from Jenny's story, the hurricanes, the pandemic, and just different things happening, that just having another source of income that is health and wellness based, that is authentic and that works with you and congruent with your core values is an incredibly smart business move, and it saves you bacon, right? Mm-hmm. So any last words, Jenny?
I mean,
let me ask you a question. What have you learned the most by having a doTERRA business? How do you think it made you grow?
My gosh. I would say, just so much. I mean, doTERRA really is what made me go into personal development, because I had to be good at this business. And I wouldn't have been on that path. I was one of those people who thought it was total, like Tony Robbins is total baloney. Like, it's so funny. I just think back to like the person I was 7 years ago and totally different now. And doTERRA was really this, the catalyst to make that happen, because I probably wouldn't have done it on my own. I wasn't passionate enough about chiropractic to want to do it or anything else at that time. And that's something that, are lifelong skills that you learn through personal development, communication skills, all the good stuff, So yeah, I would say personal development that's built confidence, that's helped with communication skills. And for that, not that doTERRA is ever going away, because they're not, but let's say the company closed tomorrow, I would have all of those just rich experiences and things that wouldn't go away even if the company wasn't around.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dr. Jenny, thank you so much for being with us today. This has just been really fun to interview you and revisit our history and everything like that, and what the journey it's been. And I'm sure you guys will have questions. I'm out of time. We're out of time today, but if you guys want to post, I'll post this recording on the Facebook page. Feel free to post your questions in there. And thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.